there's not a one size fits all. I wish that were the case, it'd be a lot easier, but it's really case by case. And that's, where we come in. We have a very personalized approach. Every year we look to improve. Every year we look to kind of go back and see what's working, review the comments and the topics and things like that. The numbers, we had a handful of episodes that had really high numbers or much higher numbers than others. So really figuring out what caused that spike, what really hit home, and then really, narrowing down, going back to the marketing of topics we should be talking about.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast, where you can escape the corporate trap through franchise ownership. Here's your host, Giuseppe, the franchise guide.
Welcome, everyone, to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe, your franchise guide. Happy New Year. This is actually technically our second show of the year. We had our last show with Jason Pfeiffer from Entrepreneur Magazine last Wednesday, the 1st, but I wanted to welcome you. Really excited for today's show. Today's show is really kind of a recap. What I did was I looked at all the shows. We recorded 46 shows last year and put together top 5, which is very difficult, but top 5 takeaways from all the recordings and guests and solo episodes that we've done. So before we dive into the show, again, wanted to thank you again for all your support, all your questions and comments. We build the show around how we can better help you. And without your feedback, that is extremely difficult. And with that being said, for anyone, 2025, maybe you are thinking of escaping the corporate rat race or looking to diversify, maybe even, put together and create a safety net for your career and want to explore franchising, not specific franchises to start, but just to see if a franchise may be a fit. Let us know. We'd love to help you out. Just go to our website. My initials, GG, the franchise guide. You can apply to work together. And the reason we have that apply to work together is that it will help you figure out in a few questions. I believe it's 3 or 4 questions, asking you questions just to see if franchising may or may not be a good fit for what you're looking to accomplish. So I encourage you. The call is free. The service is free. We can talk more about that and would love to help you out. So getting back to the show. So again, really excited. I like to review the show for many reasons. I wanted to see kind of what help people, based off your comments in the shows, what topics we discussed. And what we did with 46 shows is in the blog, we'll list every single show, and we broke it down by category since we covered things such as franchising, which obviously show franchise freedom. We want to cover that. But we talked about things such as marketing. We talked about things such as a kind of a startup. We talked about people in the military and their career transition. We talked about just being overly or how to be more productive, whether that be, more digitally organized, different ways of helping you succeed, both in your job, your non-franchise, your franchise business, just overall value add. And, we really, like to mix it up, but I like to kind of look and see the areas we covered, if there was any area topics that we forgot or maybe just missed completely. So diving into the 5 key takeaways, I'm going to list everything in the show notes. So again, it'll be a little bit easier for you to go through if you want to look at a specific topic. So, my number one, and this is based off of not one show, but multiple shows, kind of themes and conversations, is focus. And I think focus is going to be the theme of 2025. I know for myself and many others, and focusing on what really matters, both personally, and professionally, getting rid of distractions, getting rid of the subscriptions, the emails that are constantly bombarding you that are not serving you. And I'm not saying you have to unsubscribe to them all, but some of them are just not, maybe it's great information, but not the right timing. So pausing those or filing those away, but really getting focused on, what you're trying to really accomplish both professionally and as well as personally. And, the distractions themselves, what's not serving you. Maybe there's some, people not serving you and maybe having less interaction with them, but really focusing on, there's so many different things we could be doing, but, what are the top 5 things that, you need to focus on where you've had the most results that is really helping you move the needle. So focus has been a big word. I know in my planning, goal setting, we did the show on goal setting. but also habits, right? The habits you need to accomplish those goals. So definitely revisit that. We did that a few weeks ago. And those habits, which I learned quite a bit from Atomic Habits, from the book Atomic Habits, will kind of break down what habits are needed on a daily basis to accomplish those goals. So that was really helpful. Another topic that we or takeaway was the idea of responsible franchising, and that was a key. I would say more of a key topic than takeaway, but that came up. We had multiple episodes on that going actually in 2023 as well as 24. And with responsible franchising, really, figuring out number one, if a franchise is a good fit, and then, working with brands and knowing the questions and doing the appropriate due diligence in order to make that final decision. So making sure you have access to as much information as possible. As we talked about one of the episodes, if it is an emerging brand, we want to make sure we're talking with as many franchisees as possible, since maybe the financial performance and representation in the item 19 is going to be light because it may just display or just give you information on a corporate office. So you want to talk with franchisees. So responsible franchising, getting very clear on the roles, a clear understanding on both sides, as if a franchise candidate is a good fit for the brand, and and vice versa. If the brand is a good fit for the candidate, making sure that the ownership options are a good match given the amount of time they're able to commit to the business and things like that. So getting very specific and not rushing the due diligence process. One of the shows we talked about, just a lot of not doing enough calls with existing franchisees was super helpful. Marketing was a big topic. We had a lot more shows than usual around marketing, and a big part of that was in marketing, humanizing the marketing. We've been hearing that from multiple people. So we had Aaron Harper from Rolling Suds, who had the privilege of meeting Alex Hormozy, and that was a very common theme, talking about how to humanize. We had Qasim, talking about from Solutions 8 and now Pareto Talent, talking about that and being very humanizing, using your personal accounts, talking and letting the prospects, the customers, clients, whoever's listening, truly talking from the heart via experience, listening to them, answering their questions, applying empathy, and really understanding where they're coming from. Sometimes, we may have been in business for 20, 30 years and forgot what it took to really get started. So empathy, putting yourself in their shoes and really understanding. But the idea of marketing is really, the human to human is really just, creating that community, being vulnerable, not overly producing every piece of content, and just being very consistent, open, honest. You're not going to be for everyone, but it's really important to be open and honest and just transparent with people and just say, hey, these are my thoughts. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but these are some recommendations I have. So I think that will help build loyal fans and followers throughout the years. And that was a very common theme. There was a previous guest that we had on the show, Marcus Sheridan from They Ask You Answer. I did not have him on the show this year, but following him the last couple months, had some similar philosophies around marketing and just getting out there. So um, another was, let's see, from going back to Alex Hormozy and Aaron Harper of Rolling Suds, we had talked about, kind of reviewing your results. So I went in 46 episodes and I looked to see what shows had the most number of downloads and to see exactly what topics we had discussed, what really hit home with people. So trying to track, and obviously can't see every person that downloaded or listened to the show, but the numbers, we had a handful of episodes that had really high numbers or much higher numbers than others. So really figuring out what caused that spike, what really hit home, and then really, narrowing down, going back to the marketing of topics we should be talking about. So sometimes I'm trying to figure out what everyone wants to hear. And sometimes we're repeating ourselves. Sometimes we're talking about the same topic every so many episodes. And that's because from the feedback I've received from others, and again, listening to the audience, is that some people only go back a dozen episodes. They're not going back a year or two or three. So kind of revisiting, touching up on certain topics reviewing what's working. And this doesn't just work with the show. This is also for the podcast, specific posts, blogs. Did I say the same thing in a video and then a blog, but the blog really took off and the video didn't for whatever reason? So really, taking a step back and looking at what has been produced, not necessarily coming up with new content every day, but repurposing, content and seeing kind of what's working, what's not working, and what people want to really hear. And then finally, it's the idea of business ownership, not just franchising. And I know the show is called Franchise Freedom, but the idea of business ownership as a vehicle. And I get questions all the time, is franchising better than a startup, and vice versa? Some people are in the franchise world. Some people have never owned a franchise or just have a general idea of what a franchise is. And really, putting together, you know, what is that ideal situation? What is that? What is the ideal situation? And then not only that, but what is the vehicle that's going to get you there? And that could be a startup, that could be a franchise, that could be a combination of both. We had Jeremy Dyer, Starting Point Capital, talk about real estate syndication. That could be a possibility. I myself do not lead in with real estate. I go in with franchising and non-franchise business, and I invest some of the proceeds only into real estate syndication. And that's something that I follow. And that's not the best fit for everyone. And that's okay. It's really figuring out what are my options. You know, real estate syndication is going to be a lot less hours, but what about the returns? And whereas in franchise ownership, you're going to be investing more time, but having more control over the process since you're running that business day to day, either on your own or with a general manager. So it's not saying, what is the best option, what is the best vehicle. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone's, their capital. Sometimes a franchise is the best fit, but their budget only allows them to invest in mutual funds, for a couple $1,000. So is it better to invest in the mutual fund or hold off and wait till you have the funds available to invest in a franchise? So there's not a one size fits all. I wish that were the case. It'd be a lot easier, but it's really case by case. And that's, where we come in. We have a very personalized approach. Sometimes the franchise is the perfect fit. Sometimes it's not, but we are able to assist with ideas and make those connections. Going back to the human aspect of it, really getting laser specific on what you want to accomplish. And then from there, who are the people that can assist you? What are the businesses, or is it in the investments or what have you? So anyway, 5 takeaways. We go into a little bit more detail on the blog. We'll list all the shows, we'll categorize them. And I want to hear from you. Please, let me know your thoughts. We're going to try to do this every year. Every year we look to improve. Every year we look to kind of go back and see what's working, review the comments and the topics and things like that. So got some new ideas that will be rolling out here in Q1 of this year, but keep us informed. Best way to reach me, go right to the website or shoot me an email at gg@ggthefranchiseguy.com. Let us know your thoughts. If you'd like to be on the show, you can apply. If you want me to cover a specific topic, please let me know. Anything we can help with, just let us know. Your feedback is invaluable. We read every single comment. Sometimes we got to go through and all the social media platforms, but email is always best. That you're always going to get the quickest turnaround and response. But looking forward to the comments as we build the kind of what the next 52 or 50 weeks, since we're 2 weeks in, look like. So looking forward to that. Again, thanks for your support. Happy New Year. And if you're ready to explore franchise or just learn a little bit more about how a franchise may be able to help what you're looking to accomplish, go to the website, ggthefranchiseguy.com. There's a podcast with 200 plus episodes. We have blogs. I offer my book, which is my exact blueprint of helping you find a franchise, along with a webinar. If you're more visual, we'll cover that as well. So let us know, if we can help in any way. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn how to make the transition from corporate to owning your franchise, join Giuseppe on the next episode. You can also follow on all social media platforms and achieve financial and time freedom today.